Welcome to episode 316 of the Grip Strip podcast, the Austin 316 slash the greatest day in motorsports preface edition of the Grip Strip podcast. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm not going to whip anybody's asses on this show. I'm not going to open a can of whoop ass, though there might be reasons to do so on some people that are in motorsports. However, we will go and discuss and lead into the greatest day in motorsports, one of the traditions that we have here. And as always, I'm with my good buddy and co-host, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar, and somebody who wanted to whip somebody's ass. With some of the bad driving standards that take place in some of these races. His name is Josh Fine. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, I guess I did, but no, it's been good. Yeah, I once again tried to go for a second iRacing Indy 500 crown. Came about as close as I've ever been able to come since that time back in 2022. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, did not come through with that there. But yeah, ready to get into it. Of course, yeah, the greatest day in motorsports quite ahead of us right now with the Indianapolis 500. We've already seen qualifying, most exciting qualifying session you're going to see all year in racing, of course, and yeah, everything related to NASCAR here from this past weekend, and with All Star and getting ready for the Coca-Cola 600 and all that stuff. So yeah, ready to get into it.
And that means with the Coca-Cola 600 coming up means, hey, man, we're going to have Dale Jr. Redneck Jesus is back, and all is good in the world when Dale Jr. is back broadcasting. We ended the Amazon Prime NBA coverage yesterday with the blowout of Cleveland blowing out the Detroit Pistons to go and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, where the New York Knicks are awaiting them tomorrow. Then watching Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals in hockey. I think that's the Hurricanes that are waiting on who's going to advance from this. And then Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals in the NBA, which is Oklahoma and San Antonio. All that going on. We'll talk about the All-Star race NASCAR Cup at Dover, which I don't know, didn't really seem like an all-star race, but it definitely was a Denny Hamlin benefit. We'll get into Corey Day's second win of the season. Oh wow, the MTA and LIRR actually reached a deal. So there you go. That's good to actually get people back with the transportation here in the tri-state area. Nice number on Maria Taylor there. Kyle Busch can't really win in a cup car anymore, but he definitely can in a truck. We'll talk about that. Hello Pillow gets his second career Indianapolis 500 pole, becomes first pole sitter after winning the race the year before is Elio Castro Neves. Alexander Rossi and David Malukas make up your front row. However, Alexander Rossi absolutely destroyed his number 20 Java House car in practice, in full field practice on Monday, and will have his ECR team will have a huge repair to do before Carb Day, and more importantly, the race here on Sunday, along with Pato O'Ward, who's starting sixth, and then Romain Grosjean and other drivers and teams got some damage through all the debris that came through there. But we'll talk about the qualifying there, the issues that The weather, of course, made it a one-day show. Catherine Legg announcing, along with Elf Cosmetics, that they're going to attempt to run the double. She did pretty decent in her qualifying run at Indy. There's a short field for the Cup race, so she'll make the Coca-Cola 600. Now, as long as weather's permitting, she's able to get through. It'll be an interesting logistical challenge for her to try and become the first woman to be able to do the double. And if she can do anything anywhere near what like Tony Stewart did, but more likely what some of Robbie Gordon's attempts and Kurt Busch, and John Andretti, what he was able to do when he did it the first year in 1994, finishing the Indy 500 and then having issues in the 600. But we'll see what happens with that. Talk about how the 49ers are probably going to fly 95 million miles, and that'll be the reason why they don't go to the Super Bowl. And the NFL continues to help the Rams. And then Jacksonville's schedule as well, since he had the schedule release last week. And then Roundup, MotoGP, Moto2, Formula E, World Superbikes, NHRA, Supercars, and then Formula 2 and F1 Academy will be in Montreal, which will lead into the Canadian Grand Prix preview picks. The new greatest day in motorsports includes the Canadian Grand Prix this year instead of Monaco. Then NASCAR tripleheader at Charlotte this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all three major series. Indianapolis 500, preview and picks. Josh will let us know all things going on iRacing Gaming on this Memorial Day weekend coming up, and then call it a day. So yeah, let's get into the Dover All-Star race. Our good buddy Joe and his dad were at the race. It was definitely one that it didn't have the feeling of an all-star race running in the middle of the day, running it at 1:00 in the afternoon, which is good in the sense that that's what you need at Dover. You need to run earlier in the day to put more rubber down, to make the track wider. I think Chase Briscoe, amongst others, were beneficiaries of that with the new rules package with the lower downforce and more horsepower. We saw the aspect of comers and goers. We saw a lot of destruction early in the race itself, with the likes of Kyle Larson getting wrecked and Joey Logano. That was in the main event itself, but there was 3 stages. The first 2 stages were used to make the starting order for the 3rd stage there. It was, and so in segment 1, it was Darrell Wallace Jr. getting the win over his car owner Denny Hamlin, Chastain, Briscoe, and Keselowski, who started on the outside front row, finishing 5th. Briscoe from 16th to 4th. Cindric, Byron, Logano, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick rounding out your top 10. Connor Zilic from 27th, finished 11th. Michael McDowell from 30th to 12th. Of course, one thing to preface here, there was a 3-lap qualifying, which included a 4-tire pit stop. Some of these drivers, like Zilic, like McDowell, had issues on pit road that relegated them further back in the field. Briscoe, I don't think, had issues in terms of like pit stop, like penalties. It was just a slower pit stop, but he had and he hit the wall in practice too. Was able to get the car repaired and come back there. Blaney was involved in a wreck early with Larson. Todd Gill and Ryan Preece's car got demolished in cold custard. Blaney and Larson basically spent the stage 1 and stage 2 in the garage to repair their car to get ready for stage 3. Cody Ware, based on what Tommy Baldwin said, freaked out. Nacho Libre had issues. Clyde was 3 laps down. He got involved in that early wreck there, along with Larson and Blaney. Then he got involved in a second incident there late in the first stage with Chris Bell, Chris Buescher, and others, including Eric Jones, who actually was a standout performance for Jones at Jones Boy. In stage 2, there was an invert of the top 26, and it saw Tyler Reddick get the victory over Briscoe, Hamlin, Hurricane Hocevar from 29th to 4th, Zilich from 16th to 5th. That Jones Boy, Byron, Bowman, McDowell, and Noah Gagson. Ty Dillon was 11th. Something. So, you had, what is it? Chris Buescher was eliminated. John Hunter Nemechek got wrecked on lap 1 there. It looks, or no, that's right. He got wrecked in the lap 74 wreck, so he got eliminated right there along with Buescher and others there. Bubba ends up having issues along with Chastain and Brad Keselowski on lap 7. And that was that basically ended their days there. But one consistent theme here is that the Toyotas were up front and were running really well, especially the 11 and the 19. Reddick giving himself a chance going into the third stage. And the final results here for the third stage, a 200 lap segment, which was the All-Star race, saw Denny Hamlin lead 103 of the 200 laps. Chase Briscoe was second, Eric Jones third, Austin Dillon fourth. Connor Zilich had a pit road penalty, too many men over the wall, had to go to the tailback, and then came back to fifth. Cindric, Byron, McDowell, and an RCA Chevrolet, so throwback in its own right. Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, your top 10. Blaney was able to come back out after spending basically the first 2 segments in the garage, finish last car in a lead lap. Gagson, Allmendinger, the other 2 cars ahead of him. Hocevar for only car 1 lap down, go from there. Larson had to park with power steering. He had accident and power steering issues. Logano car was destroyed. I think, mechanical for Gibbs. Issues for Christopher Bell. Reddick had a power steering issue as well. Relegated him to 22nd. But, I mean, when it came down to it, the best car was Denny Hamlin. It's his 3rd consecutive win at Dover. Last 2 years was points races. This race, of course, different, but Hamlin is, I guess, getting himself ready to try and get this elusive championship. And performances like what he had on Sunday prove that his team, the 11 team, and he are ready for that for sure, Josh.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, yeah, Denny Hamlin, I mean, I picked him to win, I think, for this, so not surprised that he came out and dominated flat out here at Dover. Just seems like this is his type of track, and they have whatever set of advantage that they have right now to just go out and win. And yeah, even with a lot of the top five with Toyota, of course, like Chase Briscoe was up there. Just seemed like Denny Hamlin could control the race from whatever point he was, regardless of whether he was actually in the lead or not. And we saw how he was able to just drive through and just drive up to the lead. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he won the race. Certainly, it's a statement for him. Um, as he looks to try to finally close on a championship here. Of course, aiming. I mean, this was a non points race, but it did show the strength of their team right now. And of course, his car that he owns in Tyler Reddick still has the points lead right now. But certainly, Denny making a statement that he won't go away, and expect to see him as a contender throughout the summer as he tries to outpoint his own team and driver that he owns. So it's going to be interesting for sure to see how that plays out, especially some of these tracks going forward. We know he's good at. We've seen him be good at Charlotte. We've seen him be good at Michigan, Pocono. He's not a road course guy, so we'll see how he does at San Diego and Sonoma and all those other tracks. But he's good at some of these tracks that were coming up here on the summer. So, if he gets on a run here, we could see him close that point gap to Tyler Reddick, especially with the way how this point system works here with rewarding stage victories and all that stuff. So, yeah, could see Denny Hamlin here potentially closing that gap as we get to the end of the summer here before we get to the chase reset. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, definitely dominating win here for him, especially after the spin out that he had in pre qualifying for Dover for the All Star race, spun out coming off of pit road. So off to a bit of a bumpy start there for him in qualifying, but obviously they recovered and he was able to get a good starting spot for the race. So yeah, I mean, this All Star race definitely was interesting for sure. Definitely didn't really feel like an All Star race or anything like that. I think going in, I just never felt like, oh, like it's an All Star race, because like we always feel the Saturday night short track excitement. The couple years that I was at Bristol, or yeah, well, the 1 year I was at Bristol, the couple years that I was at North Wilkesboro, of course. We saw how it was at Charlotte for many years with the special paint schemes and whatnot for that race. So definitely had a different feel this year for sure. And the only thing I think that was interesting was, I guess, the pit crew competition there that showcased the pit crews. It's always been a hallmark of the All Star race to show the pit crew's talent level and include that in the qualifying process for that. So that's always important. But just feels like, this one, like, I don't know why, like, didn't really feel like it. I mean, think because it was at Dover, of course. It was daytime on a Sunday at night, or not at night, but at a daytime, so 1 p.m. So yeah, obviously not as exciting, I guess, from that standpoint. Just your regular Sunday afternoon stuff and everything. So from that standpoint, didn't really feel like it, of course. And then, you still had the other series racing with the O'Reilly series on Saturday and the truck series on Friday night, Friday evening. So there was definitely that part of it as well. Kind of just still feeling like a regular race weekend and stuff. But I mean, obviously the crowd showed up for that, so there was still a good amount of people there, but just not as I guess thrilling as and energy wise as like All Star races have been in the past. So that was definitely interesting. I'll say for my part, I mean, at this point, like, I don't really know why we have an All Star race to begin with anymore. Kind of just seems like it's just a race that we have to you know that doesn't count for anything, and we don't really see any of the innovation like people did back in the day when the All Star Race first started and all that stuff. Of course, remember Jeff Gordon T Rex car as a famous example from that. No real bending of the rules there, and especially the way that this race played out. I mean, the first two segments you had a so-called full field, and then people that were out of the race were still able to come back and compete in the final segment. In theory, I mean, you saw Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott get taken out in the first wreck on lap 2, but they were able to make repairs and then come back for the final segment. So even though, like for Larson, he finished a lap down or several laps down and had to retire from the event, but he was still able to return from there. So that made it feel a lot different than past All Star races where if they had started the actual main event, they would have been eliminated right there, and that would have been it for them. And a lot of people were making comparisons because of the format the way it was to the All Star race from 2001, where it rained on lap 1 and people got crashed, and Jeff Gordon got crashed, and they had to go to backup car. They let them get the backup car out, and he won that race. So, in similar fashion, this was kind of like that, but I think the fact that it was a full field kind of diluted everything from the start because you didn't have the open race like what you had seen in previous years. We just had the full field and then just slowly chopped off the amount of people that were in the race, and then even the final segment was the 26 car segment. So that for an all-star race still feels pretty large. I mean, because I feel like in the past it was always like top 15 or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely kind of interesting to see how that played out. I mean, the racing seemed like it was interesting. I mean, looked like a normal Dover race, and actually probably one of the better racing that we've seen from Dover in past couple of years, especially with the next gen platform. I mean, we saw 3, 4, 5 wide racing there in the middle of the corner, and that led to some of the action there throughout the race. But just the format itself just made things kind of confusing and everything, and all that. And I mean, I personally, I mean, just have like a regular all star race where if we're gonna do this, like, it needs to be an elite component and everything. Just have the winners and a fan vote and open winner, I guess, whatever. So it shouldn't be more than 20 people in the race, and then doesn't need to be a 350 lap event. It should just be like a 100 lap thing, and we could probably just bring it back to Charlotte and just do it on like the Friday of the Coke 600 weekend and just compress everything. We don't need a full weekend anymore for it. So I think we can just compress it all into one weekend with the Coca-Cola 600, or do it on like Thursday night as a lead into the Coke 600 and whatever races that they have for that weekend. So certainly has lost its luster over the years, but I suppose it's still worth having. But they definitely need to retool it and make it a little bit more interesting for people to watch, because otherwise it did feel like a normal weekend of racing there, albeit good racing, but just without the I guess prestige and stuff that comes with having a so-called all-star race in NASCAR.
Yeah, they made the Silver Miles the monster that old Dennis was able to take home. The $1 million check, which you listen to NASCAR radio. I forget who brought it up, but if it was a caller or if it was and it's like $1 million was fine and well back in 1985 when they started this race, but for taking into account of inflation. Oh no, it was Justin Marks. Yeah. Taking into account of inflation and all that stuff, like it's not the same level of obviously money, justification, prestige relative to going and destroying a bunch of race cars. I mean, I think he's also saying and knowing that they're going to go back to Daytona for an R&D clash. Hopefully they go back to actually running it as a pole winners race. I mean, I think what's old is new again. Like that's what you're mentioning with the way of bringing it back to Charlotte, or maybe bring it to a track that wouldn't have the Cup Series generally. Um, like Five Flag Speedway. I don't know, like Nashville Fairgrounds, or I mean something. The Wilkesboro thing was all right, and it did its part, and they're gonna have a points race this year, and I guess after all that money and time they put into it, to have that points race again will be good, but I don't think, knowing what the short track package has been, has not been great this year. So I don't have high hopes for it, even if you're running it in the middle of the dang day in July. Um, but I think, yeah, taking it back to Charlotte, it might be the best idea, and condensing the week. It's the same way they're going to do it at Daytona next year. It seems like they're going to probably run the Clash like early in the week of Speed Week there at Daytona. So, I mean, for Hamlin doing what he's doing, no surprise. I think Dover should have a points race. I mean, the notion is, if you're trying to basically X out the Northeast, they're doing their part. They've taken away, I don't know how many races from the Northeast. They took a race away from Pocono. They took a race away from Dover. Now they taken, and then New Hampshire. So that's 3. And then if they go and take Dover out altogether, it'd be really bad. I'm not saying it based on like bias or anything. It's just like you're going to put it based on fans. Most of these places don't draw jack shit. And they took out all the grandstands. Like basically Dover would have to get rid of the grandstands in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 to make the place actually be right sized for what current market value is. And I say this as someone who literally attended one of his first races there, and that was when they were still in the expansion phase, and they only had 140,000 seats, and I was in temporary seating there the first time I was there. So a lot going on there, but we'll see how it goes. And shout out to the 19 team to actually give themselves a chance for once. Hope maybe, and I was feeling this, the way he ran, maybe I know he's a Tony guy, of course. Chase Briscoe is, and maybe the weather gets hotter and all of a sudden he gets momentum. I hope that's the case. I hope he can go out there and qualify well on Saturday at Charlotte. Give himself an opportunity to go and win the Coke 600. It would be big. He needs that in terms of the points, so we'll see how that goes. All right. Let's go to the O'Reilly series here. The Bet River Casino 200 at Dover. Saw Corey Day only lead 4 laps, but they were the most important. They were the last 4. Beating Justin Allgaier, who led 71 laps. Sam Mayer, William Sawalich, Hank Hill, your top 5. Buckshot Jones won stage 1, finished 6th. Carson Quapple finished 7th. Ryan Segan 8th. Sammy Smith and the Arby's Chevrolet, and then Anthony Alfredo rounded out your top 10. Actually, 24 cars on the lead lap there. Ross Chastain started on pole, finished second in stage 1, won stage 2. Rajah Caruth was 4th. Led one lap, had issues during the race, but was able to recover back to 14th. Jesse Love finished 23rd. Taylor Gray finished 32nd after suspension issues. EJ McLeod actually was in this race driving for Mario Goslin. Trying to see some of the other. Yeah, that was Brent Cruz had a rough day. Blake Lothian got in the way. They're laid up Justin Allgaier, which affected the finish. Parker Retzloff gets wrecked 10 laps into the race, along with Jeb Burton and LeVar Scott, which was a big points loss for Retzloff after a really strong start to the year for him. Yeah, so I mean, 12 lead changes amongst 10 drivers. It was 4 double-digit lap leaders in this race in Allgaier, Soares, Jones, and Chastain. But when it comes down to it, Corey Day, right place at the right time, and he gets his second win of 2026. And momentum is definitely in his favor at the moment. And going to Charlotte, a racetrack he's run at, possibility the home game for Hendrick Motorsports. Corey Day trending upward and learning as he goes, which is scary for the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, scary for the rest of the field. I mean, look at who he's taking after in the Cup Series. Kyle Larson. Whenever Kyle Larson goes on a tear, it's scary for the rest of the field here. And, I think it might be the same for Corey Day. Now he's beginning to figure it out. We saw at the beginning of the season, was up there contending for wins, but got into some of his junior motorsports corporate teammates there at the beginning of the year, and now he's passing them for wins here. So, yeah, obviously had a lot of momentum here late in the going, and was able to use the high line to get around Justin Allgaier there. Allgaier, of course, held up by lap traffic there. So yeah, that part was definitely interesting to watch there. And Allgaier wasn't happy about the lap car situation afterwards, I think. So yeah, definitely for him, unfortunate loss there. For Allgaier, of course, to pick up another win. And then, yeah, Corey Day now 4th in the standings, still 195 points back of Justin Allgaier. But going into Charlotte, of course, where HendrickCars.com is having a paint scheme, I guess, matching paint schemes between all their cars here. So it could be definitely a big home game benefit for him here. And Charlotte's also another place that favors running the top if you can get it set up correctly there. We've seen drivers from any series run the top there and do it with success there. So definitely think he could be a threat there this weekend. So yeah, kind of the same here with Corey Day. As we talked about Denny Hamlin in the Cup Series. I mean, yeah, Corey Day might have a shot here to get into title contention. Definitely established himself as one of the guys here in the O'Reilly Series here. So yeah, we'll see what he's able to do over the next couple of races here. Of course, on the other hand, we saw some more drama with Raja Karuth, the other HendrickCars.com driver in this field. He had a good car throughout this race, but he had a couple of incidents, of course. Got into it with Jesse Love going for trying to go for the lead there, and I think that changed the complexion of his race. And he definitely had a fast piece for sure, and could have been up there to try and take the lead there, or potentially even win this race for Raja, but just wasn't able to come through with it after some of the things that he went through in this race. So definitely another incident for Raja and Jesse Love. That'll be a interesting topic to look at as we continue to progress forward here in the season for O'Reilly series here, and what he's, those two drivers, their dynamic, how is that going to change? Obviously, Jesse's probably frustrated with Raja Karuth after another run in, and then of course Raja says, "Well, sorry, probably won't help fix things this time." So we'll see what he's able to do here over the next couple weeks to try to, I guess, mend that fence there. So, yeah, I mean, another typical racing weekend here for the O'Reilly series here, and we saw definitely the players came out to play here this weekend, and yeah, Justin Allgaier continuing to be at the front of the field, but Corey Day, yeah, for sure, he's starting to establish himself here in the O'Reilly series, and I think once he gets it all figured out, he's definitely going to be a threat here for the O'Reilly series, and maybe even start pushing for a spot in the Cup series if Rick Hendrick feels he's ready to take on that next step.
Yeah, I had to watch Jordan Bianchi do a video on Dirty Mo Media and talk with his hands, which absolutely drove me nuts. Along with having to look at his goofy face, but him talking for 13 minutes with his hands, I wanted to throw something through the TV. And he was talking about Corey Day possibly as the replacement at the 48, or, if they, and hedging towards maybe Connor Zilic, which is insane to think, but we'll see. But yeah, Corey Day is someone that Hendrick has got a long-term plan with. The point you were making about Raja and Jesse Love, the reality is Jesse Love over the years has drove like a dick, and anybody who actually drives him hard, he gets mad. So it's part of the reason why he's employed at RCR. But and down him and Downforce Danny, as he's now known as, but he don't really know what he wants half the time, Jesse Love, in terms of how he gets raced or how he races. And so, I mean, even if Raja makes mistakes, at the end of the day, he's a rookie in the series versus what Jesse Love, who was a defending series champion, and all that. I think you gotta take it with a grain of salt in a sense, and knowing that there will be a points reset to, at least for Jesse Love's case, to try and get back into the championship. I think it's more of a dire situation on the Rajah Caruth side because he keeps on having to jump between cars. Points, it's 175 point lead, as Josh mentioned, for Allgaier, but Creed now is actually a decent battle. Creed, Jesse Love, and Corey Day are separated by 20 points. Jesse Love's only 2 points behind Sheldon Creed. Creed and Day are separated by 20. Creed and Bruckshot Jones by 30. So there actually is a decent battle for second in points, which would be huge during the reset later this year. Sammy Smith currently 3 points ahead of Hank Hill. There's a mini battle there between Smith, Hill, Quapple, 7 points. Then Sam Mayer, Taylor Gray, Parker Retzloff separated by 6 points. And then William Sawalich rounding out your 12. Sawalich, there's only 22 points at Ryan Sieg right now. 6 points separating Sawalich to Rajah Caruth in 14th. Brent Cruz is 5 points back after he lost a lot of ground there on Saturday. But it looks like, as it stands, there's 15 drivers for the 12 spots in this playoff, and there are some battles within that. some of the drivers that may have been people you would have thought of as possibilities to make it, like Harrison Burton. We would have thought maybe. Then I'm trying to look at. I mean, Alfredo missed a race this year, so their owner points is different. He had to go and jump in another team's car there at Daytona. 48 made the playoff last year, but Staropoli right now currently 23rd in points. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really where we're at there. Okay, yeah. So go to the trucks. Kyle Busch getting his 69th career Truck Series win. Kenny Wallace had fun with that on DBC. The Eco Save 200, Kyle Busch won every session basically. Won practice, one pole, got both stage wins, led 147 the races, 200 laps. Chastain was the only other truck that was kind of there lead wise. Ty Majeski finishes second, Lane Riggs third, Caden Honeycutt fourth, Chris Bell fifth, Bruckshot Jones in sixth, Christian Eckes 27th to 7th, Corey LaJoie 28th to 8th, Jake Garcia and Justin Haley from 26th to 10th. Enfinger finished 15th, got a couple stage points. Ross Chastain was 18th. Gio Ruggiero 3 laps down and 20th. So unfortunate loss of points there, but he was able to kind of salvage something out of it because he got those stage points. Hocevar 31st. Destiny Spurlock got wrecked early in the race. Caleb Costner Starton Park, Natalie Decker melted down on the radio and then got parked milk and donuts style. Cole Butcher wrecked or was involved in a wreck. And then you had Luke Baldwin, who got wrecked by Clint Boyer, who then had to park because he had mechanical. Hemrick had mechanical or had mechanical issues early in the race, so he was relegated to 30th. Yeah, I mean, Kyle Busch goes out there, dominates. That's no surprise, Josh. But in terms of the points battle, you have 3 of the drivers that are likely to battle for this championship right there, right behind him, trying to maximize their point stays in Majeski, Riggs, Honeycutt, and then add Eckes there to be fair. So even though Kyle Busch went out there and dominated, the guys that are trying to battle for this championship gave themselves an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think first for Kyle Busch, I mean, he obviously, it seems like this is the series is winning and now dominating, so it's like old Kyle Busch. So maybe we've been saying, or I have been saying, that he should just go back to the truck series, and I mean, it seems very plausible right now, so I think maybe that's a viable option for him. But no, for the rest of the truck series regulars, the guys that are actually in the points battle here, Honeycutt, Riggs, and Chandler Smith, I mean, it's definitely looking like this could be a battle between those 2 drivers. Obviously, Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, both finished in the top 5 here, and they both finished in the stage points at various points during the race. Lane Riggs finished both stages in top 10. Caden Honeycutt finished top 10 in stage 2. So they both picked up some points there. So now, yeah, this battle's a little bit tighter than what we're seeing in Cup and Riley series here. But I think, for one of them to make it closer, somebody's going to have to actually break through and win a race to close that gap. Otherwise, I think with the consistency that we're seeing from Caden Honeycutt, I think he's still maintaining this gap he's had, about a 30-point gap at least. It seems like since the beginning of the season, and now that he's established himself here, as long as he continues to be consistent, he can kind of keep those guys at bay like Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith and Ty Majeski, no matter what they do, provided that they don't actually go out and win. So, yeah, one of the contenders there, Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith, they're going to have to start winning to really close the gap, which they've already won. I mean, Lane Riggs won in St. Petersburg this year. Caden Honeycutt's won a race finally. Chandler Smith has won as well, so they just need to win regularly, which, of course, in this series right now is a little bit hard because, you got guys like Kyle Busch winning truck races when they're in it, or guys like Corey Heim who aren't even competing full-time in this series and winning races. So, yeah, for those guys, they definitely need more opportunities to win here as we continue to move forward. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this playoff battle, points battle plays out as we continue to go forward throughout the rest of the season, and I guess whenever the truck series, once they start their version of the chase here at the end of the season.
Yeah, with the race at Dover, they're halfway through their regular season, and the point is there. Well taken in terms of Honeycutt and what he's been able to do this year in the defending champions team and crew chief and the whole bit there. Honeycutt, one of the best talents there is in the sport, getting the opportunity to drive a elite vehicle, has double the amount of top fives as anybody else as regular right now, and has more top tens, of course. 6 top five, 7 top tens with 2 poles, 1 win, 8.8 average finish. That is what you need to be doing if you want to go and win a championship here at Homestead later this year. Riggs average finish right now is 14. Chandler Smith's 10.3. Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely, there needs to be a performance shift. Gio Ruggiero is 4th in points, but average finish 11.9. Majeski's 14.6, qualifying well, but they don't have race pace generally. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Eckes is another one who's had issues, especially in qualifying, does better in the race. So, I mean, from Lane Riggs to Eckes is separated by, what is it, 38 points. So that is a interesting side battle amongst those 5 drivers, which will be crucial during the reset. Ben Rhodes kind of in his own island there. Jake Garcia, Stu Ball, Ankrum, they're only separated by 7 points. Hemrick is 10 points behind his teammate Ankrum, tied with Butterbean, who has 3 top tens. So if they could find pace, and then Justin Haley's also right in that. So if they can find pace with the Rams, they could make a upset happen there. Then there's a drop off of 30 points to Andres Perez de Lara and Tanner Gray, Grant Infingers had his issues this year. Average finish of 21.3 right now, with 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s this year. So Cole Butcher's definitely struggled as well. Corey LaJoy giving up 2 races. So that's a problem there for him in terms of points. He currently is 96 points out of 10th, so that's asking a lot for him to make that up. But we guess we'll find out. All right, so let's move over to Indianapolis 500 qualifying. It was, as I mentioned, Hello Polo going and getting the pole for the second time in his career. There was only one guaranteed qualifying run. They'd come up with a whole convoluted system, but the weather meant that on Saturday meant that qualifying became a one and done kind of situation for the first round, and affected certain drivers in their pace to go and get the Indianapolis 500 and whatever, even chase a pole. Palou was only 11th after round 1. The Fast 12 advanced into a second qualifying run, which then led to the Fast 6. And the starting lineup, we'll just get into it. Alex Palou on the pole for the Indianapolis 500. I'm trying to go and get the starting lineup. Oh, they have the spotter guide, so this will be cool. Alex Palou, they're not showing. Thought it would actually show the speeds. Okay. So that's spotter guide. The point is it doesn't. Trying to find the. All right. Qualifying highlights. The results. That's what we'll do. We'll do results. So the qualifying for all cars. So we'll do the all cars first. It was after the first round, Felix Rosenquist was the fastest at 232.599. Malukas, Connor Daly, provisional front row. Scott McLaughlin, Renus VK, Alexander Rossi, Kyle Collette, Scott Dixon, Pato Award, Root Beer Floathead, Alex Palou, and Kiffin Simpson, your top 12. Takuma Sato, the 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner, front row driver last year, led a bunch of laps, will start 13th. Trying to go for a third Indianapolis 500 victory. Ed Carpenter trying to give Indiana a first Indianapolis 500 winner since 1941. Starts 14th. Elio Castro-Neves in his chase for 5. So that's a most experienced row by far in this whole entire race there in row 5. Rasmussen, Armstrong, Ericsson, the best of the Andretti cars. Christian Lundgaard, Will Power, Nolan Siegel on row 7. Louis Foster, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Joseph Newgarden in row 8. So 2 former winners there. Romain Grosjean, Kyle Kirkwood, Catherine Legg, Mick Schumacher, or that's row 9. Then Mick Schumacher, Jack Harvey, Graham Rahal, row 10. And then Dennis Hauger, Jacob Abel, Stingray Robb, rounding out the field. And Jack Harvey and Kyle Collette got disqualified post qualifying. Harvey, of course, was buried pretty far in the back. Collette ended up making, as I mentioned, the Fast 12, so lost out on opportunity and points. The so we'll get into the Fast 6. We'll just skip over it. Paddle Ward, or start 6, Ferrucci, Rosenquist, or are your Rosenquist, Ferrucci, Paddle, Ward, row 2, Pillow, Rossi, Malukas on the front row. Row 3 will be Kiffin Simpson, Connor Daly, Scott McLaughlin, Dixon, VK, and what is it? Sato will be on row 4, actually. So VK made that Fast 12 there. Another solid qualifying run. That's a Junkos Hollinger car with Dryan Reinbold help. So that'll be interesting to see how that all works out, how that collaboration could go. Connor Daly's had a great car in traffic all through the practice and through the open test. So something to see what he might be able to do. Kiffin Simpson is best qualifying in his career at Indy. So the Ganassi cars all seem to have pace. Penske has 2 of their cars up there, but Newgarden's come from the back to go and win. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, but for Pillow, Josh, to go and get that pole when after the all skate going and making going from 11th to first when it counted speaks to how good he is when the pressure is on and when you really need to perform. There's a reason why the guy is trying to go for 4 consecutive championships in IndyCar.
Yeah, and I think you also have to, give credit to his team for giving him a good piece there. I mean, once again, they've killed it, giving him a good car that he can go out there and execute and perform. And yeah, after the first round of qualifying there, I mean, he was only 11th, and I was a little shocked about that because I thought he would have a little bit more pace than just 11th, but especially since he just barely cracked the top 12 there anyways. But yeah, as they continue to go along in qualifying, just seemed like he had a little bit more pace, and I think just the timing of it allowed him to kind of factor in things. Obviously, the wind picked up for a lot of people, and that changed the handling, I think, for a lot of teams, and what they were able to do. So I think that kind of worked out in his favor. I was shocked that Rosenquist, who looked like he had the fast speed all month, or at least so far, wasn't able to really challenge for the pole. I mean, he did qualify last there, or was last in the qualifying order, but didn't even come close to actually cracking that spot there, and just seemed like Pillow, with the amount of speed that Pillow had, he was the only guy to hit 242 miles an hour trap speed in the corner, whereas everybody else, I think they could only hit 240 there. So that was definitely a factor there. So yeah, for Pillow, I mean, I think as he continues to move forward here, I mean, yeah, going for a 4th consecutive title here in the series, but also potentially now a second Indy 500 win here after winning last year, of course. Last year didn't even qualify in the front row last year. Now this year already ahead. And so he can continue to do what he did last year. I mean, he may dominate this race this year and show that last year wasn't just a fluke in terms of him winning the 500, but now that he really knows how to race here on ovals. So we'll see how that translates here on race day. But yeah, for Pelot, it's a statement here for him and his team that they can come out when they weren't even that good up until that final round. They weren't even that good in terms of pace, and they figured something out, and they were able to go and qualify on the pole. So it's huge for him. Definitely scary for the rest of the series here. So yeah, very very interesting to see how this will play out. Front row, I mean, Alexander Rossi, of course, qualified second. I mean, he looked like he had a good car as well, but just not quite on the same level as Alex Pelot there. But still had good consistency throughout his lap, and it looked like that would hold until, of course, Pelot went out and qualified on there. But of course, for Rossi, practice crash today in final practice before carb day, injured his hand right ankle, so we'll see how that affects him, and they're going to a backup car here after that. So we'll see how that backup car translates to the primary. How good can it be? Certainly lost a very fast piece there that he had going into the race weekend. And then David Lucas, of course, we talked about him going into the season, won the pole at Phoenix here, now qualified third. We've seen what he can do in an oval the past couple of years, and now he's at Penske in the famed 12 car. So we'll see what he's able to do here on Sunday. Definitely the best piece for Penske here in this race so far. Of course, Pat O'Ward qualified sixth. Now he's going to backup car. May not be the same pace that he had. I mean, it looked like I thought he should have had a better shot. It looked like going into the fast 12, he would have a good shot at it, but just never had the pace to be able to maintain a top level spot here. So currently qualifying sixth, and they're going to a backup car as well. Of course, a lot of the players here in the back of the field here, like Joseph Newgarden, of course, qualifying 23rd, just uncharacteristic for Newgarden. I feel like he was always the guy that could qualify up front, but I mean, he knows how to win. And like last year, remember, ended up getting relegated to the back of the field and was certainly on his way to making a run at the win, but then ran into the mechanical issue partway through the race and had to drop out. So Newgarden, of course, knows how to win here of anybody in this field, and certainly will be hungry to come back from 23rd starting position here. Yeah, and everybody else, obviously, the Harvey and Kyle Collette. Kyle Collette, I mean, for rookie, very fast here, of course, but disallowed qualifying time. Jack Harvey, of course, also disallowed. So unfortunate for them and their teams. They have to start in the back now. And then obviously Catherine Legg qualifying here, 26th, and then she's also going to attempt the Coca-Cola 600. I mean, I definitely think she has a decent shot at probably finishing on the lead lap here in the Indy car. It's just going to be a question of can the Cup car. I mean, I think she has good handling of the Cup car now, but I mean, it's just going to be a matter of whether or not the team can help her keep up with the changing conditions and how the pit stops go for her in the Cup car, and if she can finish on the lead lap there. So I mean, I don't think she can win either of these races, but I think if the goal of the double is to actually finish both races and complete the 1,100 miles, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting here, and she's going to be the first woman to ever attempt this and potentially complete it. So should be interesting there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's exciting to see how this race is going to unfold. Definitely now that we have the hybrid kind of settled in now after last year, and and some of the racing that we've seen this year, especially the one race on Phoenix. How is this going to translate this year? We've seen some guys in practice make a lot of moves, like we've seen Connor Daly make moves in practice to go from back to the front. So should be a good, interesting race here. Of course, weather is going to be a factor again. Third year in the row that weather will be a factor. Looking at the weather right now, um, it's 40% chance currently in Speedway, Indiana on Sunday. Today, qualifying or not qualifying, but practice got cut short due to weather. So we'll see how that plays out on Sunday, and hopefully we have good weather and the race doesn't get delayed or cut short by rain this time, because the last couple of times, obviously 2024, huge mega delay, and then got the race going at 4 o'clock, and then this year bit of a delay, 45 minutes, and that kind of pushed things back a little bit. So hopefully this year race day goes by smoothly and we don't have any problems with the weather.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this year now the Indy 500 will be the first race of the greatest day in motorsports, because the Canadian Grand Prix will be run later, in between. And then, so there's that. I mean, for Catherine Legg to try and attempt a double, needs to have a clean race and get through the day. Want to get a lead lap finish. I mean, that's an HMD combination with AJ Foyt, so HMD is big in the Indy next. So that's a team that has, experience, but not like regular, week to week experience on the IndyCar circuit. They did, I guess, last year, or Malukas, of course, when he was driving for Dale Coyne. I think some of these people on this team might have been involved with that. So we'll see how it goes for her. I mean, it's a good story. And, she's a great representation for the women out there and for women racers compared to other people like Miss Hummer. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens here. After all of this, now we got the starting lineup in. We've had practice. We've seen both Alexander Rossi, Pato O'Ward destroy their cars. We'll also have, we'll have Carb Day. We'll see how that goes as well. All right. So, yeah, let's see here. Yeah, NFL schedule release took place last week. The basically the didn't like the idea. Oh wow, interesting. So Eli coming out, owners to vote on Nashville hosting the Super Bowl in 2030. Yeah. 9 biggest winners, losers from the schedule release. It's, I don't think the 40 Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers, New Orleans Saints. Yeah. The 49ers, yeah. The Seahawks, Eric Edholm on NFL Network. I'm going to read what he wrote about the 49ers. As the number one loser in the schedule. Seahawks and Rams were the NFC West, and possibly the NFL's 2 best teams last season, but the Niners are a strong number 3, and they were severely weakened by injuries. This season, they can compete with those 2 squads. They'll get a lot of talent back healthy, and they appear to face an easier collection of teams than their other 3 divisional opponents, but I'm not sure the schedule makers at San Francisco a ton of favors. Kyle Shanahan let everyone know he wasn't wild about the Week 1 game in Australia against the Rams, and the Niners have a second international game in Mexico City against the Vikings in Week 11. Ni modo, as my Mexican friends might say. Post-Mexico schedule looks pretty rough. Seattle in week 12, Giants week 13 at the Giants week 13, home versus Rams week 14, at Chargers Thursday of week 15, so they get a short week there. At Chiefs week 16 and home against Eagles week 17, following a regular season at Arizona. They end up having a short turnaround after they come back from Australia, have to play the Dolphins. They had to go, in Cardinals weeks 2 and 3, but those are followed by three games versus Denver, at Seattle, and home Monday nighter against the Commanders. San Francisco rarely gets to take the easy road. While Niners schedule might have some advantages over those of the other three NFC West teams. The layout of the slate seems like it will slim those margins. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that's pretty weak. I mean, for the 49ers there, they're gonna have their game. It'll be on Thursday night here in the US and East Coast time, but it'll be Friday morning in Australia. And then they'll have a short turnaround. They gave the Rams a Monday Night Football game the following week, so that's cute. Yeah, so I'll get where were we at? We wanted to do this schedule by team, and so they'll play that, then they'll get a home. It'll be home against the Dolphins and home against the Cardinals weeks 2 and 3. But they get one less day and it's a regular start there. They'll get 3 consecutive home games, play the Broncos there week 4. Then they'll go to Seattle. Then the Monday Night Football game against Commanders at home. Go to Atlanta before their bye week. Then they host the Raiders, which may have Fernando Mendoza playing by that point. They have to go to the Cowgirls. That'll be a game of the week, I would assume. And the Montreal Canadiens score to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals in overtime. Wow. Then, the Vikings 49ers game, which will be a Sunday Night Football game in Mexico City. Come off of that, and then they'll, on Thanksgiving week, that will be, then they'll host the Seahawks. That'll be a game of the week. Then they have the Giants on here in MetLife. And then they'll play the Rams at home week 14. I think it'll be a short week. Yeah, and then they'll get a short week against the Chargers on Prime. Then 10 days between that game and the Chiefs. Have to go to the Chiefs on week 16, which is god-awful. And then the Eagles week 17 on Sunday Night Football for now, and then week 18. Yeah, so what are your thoughts about your schedule, Josh, in terms of just how it lays out, and then also for prime time?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. We start out playing the Browns week 1, so that's going to be the Travis Hunter Bowl, as the two teams involved in the Travis Hunter trade face against each other to prove which team was right. I think Jacksonville will prove that they're right there. So I'm not too worried about that. And and everything. Schedule here, just pull that up so I have it in front of me, but I do know we have 3 primetime games this year. For Jacksonville, got the Browns, of course, Broncos. So Broncos week 2 in Denver. So that's going to be an early matchup between 2 AFC contenders. It's going to be a rematch of last December's matchup between these 2 teams. So we'll see if Jacksonville can come out of the gate and prove that they're the same team from that game. It's also going to be interesting to see whether or not Bo Nix will be ready for that game coming forward. The Patriots, they play them at home week 3. So that's going to be an early matchup as well between 2 AFC contenders. Also, a very familiar opponent in Mike Vrabel, of course, former Titans coach, of course, with the Patriots. Very fitting for him to be on the Patriots, by the way. So, Bengals week 4 in Cincinnati, and then they'll be playing 2 games in London versus the Eagles and the Texans. So, 2 home games counting in London, unfortunately. But I guess because of the stadium reconstruction in Jacksonville currently, I guess it makes sense from that perspective because of the limited capacity. Then a bye week 7, and then versus the Colts at home in week 8. And then the Ravens, they play in Baltimore week 9, Thursday night. And I may be thinking about actually traveling out to go to this game because I have friends in Baltimore, so that might be an opportunity. It's also the day after my birthday, so might be an opportunity to go just see my friends and everything, and go hang out, watch the Jaguars, and on the away trip, of course, Titans week 10, Giants week 11, then Titans again at home week 12, Bears in Chicago week 13, then Steelers, their one true rival, by the way, week 14 here on Monday Night Football. We'll see if it remains a primetime game because I think Monday Night Football games are now flexed. So I have no doubt that the Jaguars will be good at that point, but I do, I think for the Steelers, it's going to be interesting. Can Aaron Rodgers actually hold up and make them competitive still? So it's definitely going to be interesting now that Mike McCarthy, old former head coach from the Green Bay Packers, can they keep the Steelers afloat in week 14 of the NFL season? I kind of doubt it. So we'll see. Then play in Houston week 15. Week 15 there. Cowboys Sunday Night Football week 16 after Christmas. That'll be a big matchup there. Primetime matchup there. So that'll be good. Commanders at home week 17, and then versus the Colts, or at the Colts in Indianapolis in week 18. So yeah, it should be an exciting schedule here. Very excited to see the how this plays out. It's gonna be an opportunity now for the Jaguars to prove that they can contend. I think they will. The only challenge is that there's gonna be a lot of away games here this season. So from basically from the end of September all the way through the beginning of November, they'll be on the road effectively, and then until December. So until the end of until the end of November, they'll only have had 3 home games at home. So that's going to be definitely going to be a disadvantage here. But if there's anything that we learned from the first season with Liam Cohen, is that the Jaguars are very resilient in how they play. No matter what the odds are against them, they figure out how to win. And we saw that many times last year where the Jaguars were seemingly on the ropes, and they figure out a way to win at the end of the game. So that's the quality that Liam Cohen instilled in this team. I think they'll continue to be the case moving forward. So, obviously it kind of sucks that they only have 3 real home games all the way through December. But at the same time, it's because of the stadium construction. So it's definitely tough, but there's a purpose behind it. So I'm honestly not too worried about it. So we'll see how it goes. The schedule release video for the Jags Trevor Lawrence. I guess they made fun of the fact that he could get his hair cut and everything, and seemed interesting. He looked like Ellen
Damn,
DeGeneres.
look
Yeah. So
at
yeah.
the tits on Nicole Briscoe. Wow.
But anyways, um, anyways though, I mean, yeah, for the Jags, I mean, it should be another opportunity for them to um show what they're made of, and definitely now with Travis Hunter being back on the roster here, most likely starting as a starting corner here, should be added help for defense. So yeah, definitely excited to see the Jags. Looking forward to it. Um, definitely going to be looking at which games I'm going to be going to here this season, both home and potentially away. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this next season will play out. Can't wait for it.
Sorry, I was distracted there by Nicole Briscoe's outfit and her chest. But anyways, yeah, the Montreal Canadiens go to the Eastern Conference Finals. First time since 21. Big deal for them. So now PK Subban in his goofy outfit now will celebrate and tell us about how great they are. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes with the NFL, where our draft is scheduled for late in August there. So we'll definitely spend more time talking about uh, that and how the schedule lays out and the like as we get closer to draft time here in August, 3 months from now. Right in the heart of playoff time there on the motorsports side. Let us move over to the roundup. So yeah, MotoGP, carnage-filled race at Catalunya for MotoGP, had multiple red flags. Marc Marquez missed this race. His brother Alex got hurt in this race. Ducati, though, for the first time all year, swept the podium. Fabio Di Gianantonio, Fermin Aldeguer, and Pecco Bagnaia, after there was multiple penalties handed out, get your podium. Marco Bezzecchi, points leader in fourth. Fabio Quartararo in fifth. Luca Marini in sixth. Brad Binder, Ayagura, Diego Moreira, and then Franco Morbidelli, your top 10. Yeah, so that is, and then the standings, point standings, uh, in MotoGP. Marco Bezzecchi has a 15-point lead on Jorge Martin, who didn't get any points on Sunday. DG Antonio, 11 points behind Martin after getting his victory there. Pedro Costa, no points, but stays in fourth. Ayagura in fifth, 9 points out of his teammate Raul Fernandez. After the win for Alex Marquez, 2 consecutive DNFs there for him. 10 points behind Agura for fifth, and Pecco Bagnaia, after 2 non-finishes, has got that third place. Marc Marquez fell to ninth. Aldeguer moves up to 10th. There, so Moto 2, go over to Moto 2. Gonzalez, what is it? Manuel Gonzalez gets the win over Celestino Vietti by just over 0.2 of a second. Guevara, Ortola, or Holgado, so 4 Spaniards in the top 5. David Alonso, then Felipe Salic, Alonso Lopez, and then Lunetta and Senegas rounding out your top 10. Joe Roberts ended up falling out of the race. 13 laps. Okay, let's go to Moto 2. Yeah. Gonzalez leads by 18.5 points over Guevara. Vietti, Agus, Alonso, your top 5. Ortola is 5.5 points out of 5th. With his decent run of finishes there, Alonso making up ground on Agus. Formula E at Monaco. C, we had precursor there, of course, in Monaco Grand Prix. A few weeks' time. Monaco, first of the 2 races, Nick DeVries gets the victory over Mitch Evans and Pepe Marti. Drogovic, Buemi, your top 5. Then in race 2, Oliver Rowland gets the fastest lap and wins over Drogovic, Antonio Felix da Costa, Mitch Evans, Eduardo Mortara. Your top 10. And then the standings, as they will be racing 3 rounds in China. As we get closer to that, Mitch Evans, 19-point lead over Oliver Rowland. Eduardo Mortara's 25 points back in 3rd. Pascal Verline in 4th. And that's really the battle. 27 points separates Verline from Evans. So that's 4 teams represented there in the top 4. Nico Muller, DaCosta, Nick Cassidy, Jake Dennis, Sebastian Buemi, and Nick DeVries rounding out your top 10. World Superbikes were. Where's that? Okay, yeah. World Superbikes, you had the Alvaro Bautista had massive crash and got knocked out of the round there. Nicola Balega continues his domination, won all 3 rounds. Iker Lackawanna finished 2nd in all 3, and then Yari Montella finished 3rd in all 3 races, just like he did. This was the same result in Hungary in race 3. So getting into a theme here, Balega has a 95-point lead on his teammate, and Montella is now up to 3rd, 14 points at Lorenzo Baldessari. The Lowe's brothers, Sam and Alex, 5th and 6th. Garrett Gerloff now actually moved up to 10th in points, tied with Andrea Locatelli, and is 13 points out of 9th. Not sure how long Alvaro Bautista is going to be out there, so curious to see what they would surgery there. Spanish surgery, suffered several fractures to his right ankle. So we'll see what he's able to do in if he's able to ride in a couple weeks' time. So Gerloff, we'll see what he's able to do there. Gerloff and Sura put on a show. Or even turning so See if you can keep that momentum accordingly. NHRA was in Chicagoland, Route 66 Nationals. Sean Langdon got the win in Top Fuel, beating Antron Brown in the final. Was able to win Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge as well. So big weekend for them. In funny car, Chad Green beats Alexis DeJoria. Puts himself to fourth in points. And then some are only two-time winners of the series so far this year. Second runner-up, I think she was the one that lost to... Yeah, she ended up losing Chad Green at the Gator Nationals as well. Then in Pro Stock, Aaron Stanfield beat Greg Anderson to give the Elite Performance team their first win in the last 11 races. And then in Pro Stock Motorcycle, Matt Smith beats his wife Angie after Angie's bike broke, but she was denied her first win in nearly 4 years. She had the number one qualifier there. Exciting that her bike wins. So we'll see what happens there. Standings. Sean Langdon up by 54 on Doug Coletta. Leah and Tony are third and fourth. Tony is only 12 points ahead of Josh Hart and 30 ahead of Matty Gordon. Antron Brown, after the good weekend, now back to seventh. Justin Ashley is in there. Clay Milliken was a 47-point lead on Tony Schumacher there for 10th and 11th in points. In Funny Car, Caps is tied with J.R. Todd. Matt Hagan's 9 points back. Chad Green, 25. Jordan Vandergriff, 52. And Alexis DeJoria, 79 points. So 6 drivers within 4 rounds, which is pretty big. Albeit only 6 races into the season. In Pro Stock, Dallas Glenn, 29 points out of Greg Anderson. That's click here for the current unofficial. I don't understand what that. Yeah, and then Greg Stanfield, in third. Aaron Stanfield in sixth after his win. Why am I having this all the way? And then in Pro Stock Motorcycle, what is it? Richard Gadsden's 44 points out of Matt Smith, and Gage Herrera, Angie Smith, all within 5 rounds. All right. Supercars, Tasmania, 440, Super 440, Supercars. My Phoenix has a season championship lead. Current points standings, Brock Feeney, 23 points ahead of Brody Kostecki. And then 46 points ahead of Matt Payne. So that's the battle heading into this weekend's event. Ford's top 5 in points. Ryan Wood, best Toyota. Anton De Pasquale, best Chevrolet in the field. Defending champion Chaz Mostert, currently 11th. in the standings. Let's go to F1 Academy. We'll be back in Montreal this weekend. And dirt is laundry detergent partner of the series. That's interesting. Discovered a new Disney and drivers. Megan. These are the people that are full time, or these are the full time or wild card. Autumn Fisher, Standard Charter, Ellis Stevens, Lloyd, Lisa Billiard, Raphael Ferreira, Larson, Peyton Westcott. Okay. So the standings after they raced a couple months ago back in Shanghai. Feldmeyer up by 6 on Palmosky. Nina Gatterman in third. Peyton Westcott and Ferrara along with Ella Lloyd. There you goes your top 6. The drivers, trying to see. Westcott is American driver, along with Ava Dobson, and Kaylee Countryman. You have a bunch of British ladies and Lloyd Palmowski, Ella Stevens, Rachel Robertson, and then Megan Bruce there as well. So see what happens with the F1 Academy. F2 Formula 2 coming back this weekend, trying to make up the rounds that they lost. Nicholas Soloff a point ahead of Gabriele Mini and Rafa Camara. Then Lawrence Van Hoopen, Ratomo Miata, rounding out your top 5. Boganovic, Leon, Dirksen, Interpruvisak, and Alex Dunn round out your top 10. Dunn, Gotha, Miney all tied with the same amount of points. Colton Herta currently in 13th. Alrighty then, so let's talk, make our picks here for the Canadian Grand Prix. Earliest it's been in history, so we'll see what kind of weather they're going to have this weekend. Probably be a bit chilly, but coming off of Fish Lips almost winning the 24 Hours of Nürburgring. Let's see. Go back over there. Picks. Yeah, you picked the pole sitter. I got ahead of you I was able to pick the truck winner, but you were pretty close there to getting a clean sweep. But let's see here. F1 Canadian Grand Prix. I am going to go with AK to win with I'll say Piastri and Fish Lips rounding out podium. How about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the same winner, aka, but I'll say that Lando Norris and then Piastri finished second and third.
So we'll move on to the NASCAR Truck Series at Charlotte. Be our next race to pick here. The North Carolina Education Lottery 200 at Charlotte, which will 38 for 36. Two trucks will go home. Yeah, Bruckshot Jones driving the one for Tricon. Luke Baldwin driving for Reum. Oh, Richard in the Nice number 4. William Sawalich in the number 5 for Tricon. Kyle Busch in the 7 for Spire. Try to see Pastrana in the 25 for Colleague in the Ram. Muniz back this week for the Reum 33. Connor Jones driving the 42 for Nice, running full time in the Cars Tour. Chastain in the 45. Leland Honeyman, as I mentioned, driving the Halmar Friesen 62. SPG in the 71 for Spire. Hocevar in the 77. Yeah, Justin Carroll running his family number 90. Caleb Costner driving his family number 93. So there you go. Josh, you get first dibs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch and Corey LaJoy as my wild card.
And keep it simple. Kyle Busch to win and Corey LaJoy wild card. For me, I will go with Ross Chastain to win. And then my wild card will be Pastrana. Why not? Ross Chastain and Travis Pastrana wild card. All right, NASCAR O'Reilly Series at Charlotte this coming weekend. The Charbroil 300 makes sense. Plenty of grilling going on this Memorial Day weekend. Cold Custard will be in the 0 for SS Greenlight. Connor Zilich in the 1 with the JRM. Where are we at here? Chastain will be in the 9. Yeah. Andrew Patterson in the 32 for Jordan Anderson. JJ Yaley in the 38 for RSS. Let's see who else. Yeah, so Raja's in the 88 for JRM. Leland Honeyman running double duty. Carson Quapple will be in the 91 for DGM. Leland Honeyman driving the 92 for DGM. David Starr running the 53. So curious to see if, I wonder if one of them, if Mike Harmon's team will go in WD to make it so that there's no drama in regards to the qualifying. But let's see. So I go first here, and I will go with Ross Chastain to win. Or no, I already did that in the truck. So I'll go with Connor Zilic to win. And then my wild card will be my wild card can be a hard one, actually. I'll say Jeremy Clements. So what is it? Phil goes Connor Zilic to win, and Jeremy Clements wild card. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go with Corey Day winning again. And I guess my wild card, I'll say Anthony Alfredo.
Fast pasta. Let's go NASCAR. Cup Series the Coca-Cola 600. Three open cars are Timmy Hill with the Carl Long team, 67 Corey Heim, and then Catherine Legg as well. So then those are the three open cars. What do you say, Josh?
I say that Tyler Reddick wins here this weekend. And my wild card, I will go with, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch as my wild card. He's actually been doing well, ish here lately. So maybe they can continue that momentum since the crew chief change.
Yeah, it seems interesting. I mean, Trackhouse also's taken a step forward after last week, so curious to see how that'll translate. Ross Chastain, the defending race winner in the Coca-Cola 600. I am going to choose. I will choose William Clyde Elliott II to win the 600. And then my wild card will be Corey Heim. So and Corey Heim wild card. All right, so now the Indianapolis 500. I mean, I should just go chalk and just go Pelot, but I mean, I'd pick Malukas to win the pole. I was close there. Um, I'm gonna be a homer and pick Connor Daly. Um, it would be insane if he does. I don't think he would ever recover from the hangover that he'll have from it because it'll be that. But it would be a big win for the sport if he were to go out there and get the job done on Sunday. My uh, wild card choice will be. I mean, it's a one off. That's why, and then he is one of my favorite drivers of all time. So Captain America, Ryan Hunter-Ray, who's had struggles all month or all whatever through all these practices, but the guy is one of the best. He's a former series champion, former winner of this race. Had a chance last year driving for Dreyer and Reinbold. So McLaren right now is on the back foot. Can the veteran get the job done? I believe so. Josh, I left it right there. I left the fastball right there down the middle. Are you going to go with Hello Polo?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with him. It's hard to imagine him not winning this race again. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him. Um, looks like, I mean, the guys that I would pick, I would pick Connor Daly, but there's always something that happens with Connor Daly here, and I want to pick him, but and same with Pato Award, but Pato like just wasn't there last year and just hasn't been able to close so far there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to, but I can't. It's hard to picture anybody else but Alex Palou winning this race. Well, I guess for me, for my wild card here, and I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Kyle Collette. I liked his pace here in qualifying and what he's able to do, and just of course they had their times disallowed and everything, but I don't think that should exclude him for the effort that they've put in so far this month. And AJ Foyt car has been fast. They've got the Penske support as well, and we've seen what Santucci was able to do in his runs the last couple of years. So guy that's actually fast in the other AJ Foyt car, I think is reasonable to expect him to have a pretty good run, even if he's effectively starting shotgun on the field there in the last row. So, I'll go with him. Kyle Collette is my wild card.
It's interesting. I literally was thinking about that exact combination too. Before I deviated because, for the sake of it, it's not like I'm gambling on it anyways, but it's me as a fan wanting to see what that is. But Colette is very fast. Brazilians at Indianapolis have been quite successful over the decades. Emerson Fittipaldi, plenty of drivers that have been fast, of course, Alio, Canan, et cetera, et cetera. There have been plenty of Brazilians that have done well. Colette's taken well to this racetrack as well. So wouldn't be surprising, like what you're saying, to see him make the move up from tailback through the field. They lost their pit road choice, so they're not going to have the best pit selection. But you can see how it goes. If you have a good race car, it can make something happen on Sunday. All right, Josh, let us know what's going on iRacing gaming in the sim segment.
Yeah, so of course, top of the show, we talked about iRacing Indy 500 for me. Yeah, I ran again this past weekend in the open setup. And yeah, had a pretty good setup from P1docs.com. They made some pretty good setups, and it seemed pretty good, so I went with that. Yeah, I started since I didn't qualify for the event this week. I just let my iRacing rating set the split that I'd be in for me. Um, and yeah, I think I started 30th. I started in the back of the field. But after always there's always a first lap caution. There's always like a couple of cautions within the first, you know, 20 or so laps or so. I was able to get into the top 10 relatively quickly. And then from there, it was just a matter of making my moves up into the top five, and I was able to get into the top five and stay there and be in the top five for the whole race, basically. And yeah, had a bunch of really good restarts. Definitely, go back to what Jeff Gordon said in 2014 when he won the Brickyard 400, the restart of my life. I definitely had a couple of those because there's a couple restarts where I just shot to the lead and just took the opportunity and just said, you know what, go for it and go for the lead here, and everything. So yeah, had a couple of opportunities where I just took the lead, and then I think caution lap 150 came out and I was in the top three, and that basically effectively set up the strategy where we would not need to worry about fuel because we all pitted there at lap 150, and the fuel cycle that meant that we'd probably pit it again at lap 175 or something like that. So that's what I was trying to aim for. Then another caution came out a couple laps later. Second and third place car got into it. I fell back on that restart a little bit, but I was trying to get back up there, and then guys in second and third kind of got into it, and then the guy in second had to pit, and that put me in second because the other guy in third, I think he wrecked, so that left me in third, and then the other guy in second had to pit to take tires and get his nose cone fixed there on his Indy car. So yeah, left me in second, and then took the lead there off of that restart. And yeah, held the lead for about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 laps, and then lap 167, man, off of turn 2, almost spun out. Had, remember when Pato O'Ward a couple years ago had basically almost spin out off of turn 2 and he double saved it off of there? Well, I basically had the same thing, just about damn near crashed off of turn 2, and basically as sideways as you can get in Indianapolis without actually crashing, and lost the lead off of that and fell back to third. And then 5 laps later, lap 160 or lap 174, almost 5 laps later, so it was maybe about 6 or 7 laps later, but got off the turn 2 and basically had the same thing that happened to Alexander Rossi in practice today happen to me. Just spun out and immediately went into the tire barrier and back into the outside wall. So yep, race over at that point. I guess you're only allowed to permitted you're only permitted to save a car once at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So even in iRacing. So once the tires, I mean, that should have been the warning sign. Once I had the other save almost spin out to be like, okay, I need to pit soon. And I was trying to maximize the fuel schedule and everything, trying to maximize my fuel window and all that stuff, and my tire window as well. There. So I probably should have pitted once I was starting to lose time to the leader, who had taken the lead from that, and then he eventually went on to win the race. So yeah, I mean, I'm proud of the effort. I mean, had really good pace, able to fight for the lead, be around, be up front, contend for the lead the race for 13 laps, and come away with a good effort there. So it's hard to complain. Just better luck at trying to control the car. I guess not even really control the car, just don't overheat the tires, I guess, because that was my problem. I did felt like I could run up front, but then it seemed like the tires seemed to go away later in the run, relatively shorter than the leaders. Seemed like I was losing pace as I got further into a tire run. But yeah, I was still able to keep up with them for the most part. Definitely, yeah, had fun with it. Um, I think the only thing I regret is the weight jacker adjustments and the anti roll bar adjustments. The setup guide was saying I think to be 5, like, so you have number 1 through 6 on each of the anti roll bars, right? 6 being the stiffest and 1 being the lowest in terms of rotation. And default in the IndyCar, the front anti roll bars the stiffest setting, and then the rear anti roll bar is at its lowest setting. So you want to increase for more rotation on the rear, and then decrease for more rotation on the front. And I kind of read that incorrectly, somewhat, and so I think I had a little bit more rotation on the front than what I needed, and maybe that contributed to the tires burning out a little bit faster than what I wanted. And then they said to set up the weight jacker at +8 and everything, which is already a lot of rotation. And the more you raise the rear, you increase tire temperatures on, and risking overcooking the rear tires. So that was part of it, and definitely maybe could have gone lower as I was up front, because when you're in clean air, you don't really need to have as much rotation to account for traffic. So yeah, I mean, it's part of it. Try again next year, I guess, but definitely this year, and it's on the stream, you can see it on my page, but it's definitely the closest in terms of competitiveness to feeling like I had a shot to win the race. I mean, once we got to lap 160 and I was in the lead, the adrenaline started pumping, started my pulse rate ticking up a little bit more, because I was like, okay, I know I can win this, because this is definitely as good of a shot as I've had in 4 years to freaking win this race and everything. So yeah, of course they didn't hold it in 2023, so it's really been 3, I guess, attempts. So but still, since then, I mean, it's like every year you try to do it, and it's like begin to feel like when you're Mario Andretti, it's like I won the Indianapolis 500 in 1969. My life has never been the same ever since. And I'm not going to say that for me, but definitely when I run this race every year, it's like, okay, well, I won it the one year, and well, I haven't been able to repeat since then. But it's all part of it, and maybe next year we'll be able to convert that into a win. So definitely been fun to be able to do this and everything, and there will be more opportunities later in the future. I mean, I think even try to figure out something for the Open Wheels 500 that'll happen later this year, of course, in December. Be definitely a good experience for that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that if that comes. I guess this week on iRacing, I think the Coca-Cola 600 is this week on iRacing, so I will probably have a window here over the weekend before going on vacation to be able to do that. So yeah, we'll be able to try and run the Coke 600, I guess, for iRacing. Maybe we'll win that, and then I can hold both Coke 600 and iRacing Indy 500 PDF certificates saying that I've won. So maybe that'll be cool. So we'll see if that happens there. But yeah, of course, stream is on Twitch TV. My name UCailor2. You can go look at there the fixed run there from last week, and the Open Series run here this week. And I probably will put up some clips of me making some moves up to the front. Definitely defended my position a lot on the outside. Definitely used the outside a lot to make runs into turn 1 and turn 3, and had some pretty exciting restarts there for sure. So yeah, it was my run at the iRacing Indy 500, and of course, like Phil always says, I am the iRacing Indy 500 champion. You can never take that away from me. So that's definitely for sure. One thing other than iRacing I did want to mention here. So me and Joe were talking about this offline. I guess here in Florida, the Orlando Kart Center, I've brought it up a couple of times on the show, talking about my go-karting experiences. But yeah, last week they said they're likely closing at the end of June. I guess the owner has some personal decisions that he's had to make regarding his family, and I guess can't find a buyer at the end of June. It's going to be closing the rental business, and I guess the owner kart business will stay, or at least the kart will stay open for owners. The garages will stay open for owners until February, and then I think the track will then be permanently closed if they can't find a buyer. So I wanted to mention that real quick because it's it's kind of disappointing to hear about that. Definitely a good place to get kart racing in in getting that experience and everything, and to have experience translating the racecraft I learned from iRacing into real life with the karting leagues that I've done there in the past, league racing events. So yeah, I guess it kind of sucks. And me and Joe were talking about it, and I guess at some point next month, on one of the weekends before they, I guess, do close the rentals for good, we're looking at trying to go out there and get some laps in. He was telling me a couple weeks ago, finally got out there and was running some pretty competitive laps and everything. So finally, try to get both of us out there and run some laps there. So probably look at doing another league event there. I haven't done a league event there this year, so try to get out there and run there. But sucks that potentially one of the premier karting facilities here, I think, in the United States, because a lot of people come here to Orlando for to run this specific track. They have plenty of events throughout the year. Potentially closing, I think, is a pretty big loss. I mean, there's still plenty of other karting places here in Florida, but this one was definitely, in Orlando, definitely one of the places that a lot of people went to for karting, not just for tourists and stuff, but just people who are in the sport of karting, competing competitively, whether in the state or nationally. Definitely is definitely a loss for that as well. And then just my personal enjoyment, being able to go to karting whenever I wanted to. It's always an hour away from me and everything. So that, I guess, that sucks too, because now I think for me, closest rental facility and even just general karting facility would probably be Bushnell, which is a 2.5 hour drive. It's on the other side of Florida, or even going up north like to Jacksonville or 103rd Street Kart Complex, or Homestead, the karting facility there. So yeah, sucks, but it is what it is. So respect the owner's decision. And obviously, family's important, and having to take care of that and be more present and stuff. But just sucks that potentially that might be coming to an end, or more than likely will be. So yeah, just wanted to bring up that real quick. So support your local kart tracks wherever you live. If you're into racing and stuff, participate in the sport and get acclimated and support it. So yeah, just wanted to say that real quick. But yeah, I mean, for me, of course, you can find Twitch streams at uSailor2 on there. You can find the X account at JP Huffine on X. And you can find my photography page at Josh Huffine Photography on Instagram. And then, of course, TikTok, which I'll probably post some more iRacing highlights, JP Huffine 8 on TikTok. So yeah, ready for the Indianapolis 500. It's the annual tradition. A year's waiting is about to come to an end here, and then it'll be another year's, every year. So always look forward to that race, and of course, Cook 600 as well. So yeah, should be an exciting, fun weekend of racing here coming up here this Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it, and of course, the greatest day in motorsports, and the long weekend. Of course, going and giving our time and being able to go and remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice here on Memorial Day weekend for our freedoms, and we also are able to enjoy 3 massive races as well. But the pomp and circumstance and showing America in positive or more positive light, considering how things are. But yeah, we will move on, and we'll talk about everything on episode 317 of the Gripster Podcast. You can find the Gripster Podcast on YouTube, as Josh mentioned, GSP 1428. You can find me on Instagram, PGMGSP28, in the PhilipGMatthew.com, Podbean.com. And yeah, we will be back next week for episode 317 of the GSP. Talk about everything, the greatest day in motorsports. And everything else going on in the world of racing and sports, we'll talk about here on the Gripster podcast. So for Josh, I'm Phil. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.